Manager update. There's a story that came out earlier on today. We'll be discussing that about the next manager situation. Only 3 weeks till preseason starts. We've also got transfer updates and we'll be answering questions and more. Let's get started with Palace news. What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It feels like I've said that a while ago. I'm still in like preseason mode. I need to, you know what? We need to do like a forfeit, not on AJ, but on me, because we've been slacking over the last 5 days or so. We haven't done things properly. There's a lot that's gone on. But before we do get started with that, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on future Palace content. And, you know, before we actually talk about a bit of Palace stuff, AJ, what have you been up to, man? It's been 5 or 6 or so days. I know you and T been carrying. You've been relaxing, enjoying the weather.
Yeah, man, getting the most of this weather. Actually, no, it's been all right, man. I've had a bit of family time over the weekend. Obviously, Father's Day, so bless my babies. They did chores for me, to be fair.
To everyone.
Oh yes, mate. Thank you, mate. Thank you. You know what I mean? So it's been nice, man. Having a bit of time with the kids. Getting out in a bit of the weather. To be honest, when you're working and the weather's nice like this, is a bit frustrating because obviously when you're wearing a suit or uniform or whatever, I know there's people out there that can relate to that. It's not quite the same, but then when you get the weekend sort of carryover and you get a bit of this nice weather, it's nice, man. It's good, man. You get to, you know, go out a little bit, bust the shorts out. It's all good, man. It's all love, man.
You know what? I preferred it when the season ended because I was relaxed, but am I right in saying, before we even get started, because of course we've briefed ourselves with the news that we're going to discuss, are you getting a bit frustrated with Palace? Is it reaching that moment where you have to balance out, we're in pre-season, to why are things taking a bit longer than usual? Because I'll be honest, for those who have watched Palace news after the season ended, I was relaxed. I was saying, you know, with Lerma, take your time, announce him July the 1st, because that's when pre-season is most likely to start. But now we're approaching July, and we haven't got a manager situation. We're going to be talking about that and give an update. Are you slightly getting worried?
I'm getting worried. I'm getting pissed off and I'm getting frustrated, man. It's getting silly. Everybody else is doing what they need to do. I mean, I don't understand how Bournemouth managed to sack a man and hire a man in
2 hours.
Record time. Like what is going on, bro? Like all our target, well, we'll get into that in a minute, but it just seems that all of our managerial targets are going elsewhere. Nobody's coming out with anything. The only things I'm hearing out of the club is Zaha, Willie or won't he? I'm getting repeats of Lerma. Lerma signed, 3 weeks ago, bro? And they're still trying to release content about him. Like, we're talking about players on international duty. Like, I'm trying to compose myself because the language that I want to use versus the language that I'm going to release is 2 different things, man. But it's getting frustrating now, man. It's getting dumb. It's getting silly. Our first preseason game is in 3 weeks. Something's got to give, man. We'll talk about it more, obviously, with the management stuff. But I'm not happy, Bunny, man. I'm not happy. Like, I don't care how it comes across. I don't care how it sounds. I don't care if I sound spoiled. I am starting to get really pissed off.
Well, you're not the only one, to be fair. I'm reaching that stage as well. But before we actually talk about the manager situation, I want to give a quick update on the latest with Roy. So it seems like, so keep this in mind, it seems like Roy has, I don't know how true this is, but someone spotted Roy at the airport and he was flying out for holiday. So with the Roy announcement and based on this reports, it seems like nothing is pretty much settled this week because he's going abroad. Maybe there are things behind the scenes. But let's talk about the first news of the day. As you can see from the title, the manager hunt. There's an update regarding it, thankfully, because it's been pretty much quiet ever since the season's ended. But according to the Evening Standard, Crystal Palace continue manager search as Roy Hodgson is unsure and Steve Cooper has been ruled out. So that's an update there. Cooper is ruled out by Palace. The club chairman, Steve Parish, is thought to be targeting a manager from the UK who has Premier League experience, which is interesting, though the former Borussia Mönchengladbach boss, Adi Hunter, is a candidate. So there's 3 things there. Roy Hodgson unsure. Steve Cooper ruled out. Done. And he wants a manager that is, according to the Evening Standard, Steve Parish wants a manager who has managed in the Premier League. So talking about frustrations and all of that, let's start off with let's start off with the first bit of news. Roy Hodgson being unsure, Stu Cooper ruled out. Am I right in saying, AJ, that with Stu Cooper being ruled out, that's not a massive, oh, no, what happened to Cooper? Like, I didn't want Cooper. Maybe you did. But I'm not really fussed about that. Are you?
No, it's not that I don't rate Steve Cooper. I think he's a very talented manager, and I know people like to take the piss over the way the man looks and whatever, but
yeah, that's like his biggest.
Like, that's petty. That's stupidness. Like, I think, you know, what you've got to take into consideration is he had a lot more money to spend. He brought in pretty much whether he wanted those players or not, they brought in a whole brand new squad altogether, and he still finished way below us. He didn't set the world alight. He's not. There's nothing in there that tells me he's better than Roy Hodgson, to be honest with you. Maybe in a couple of years, if he's had a bit more Premier League experience and kept them up for a period of time and we've got no other options, then, you know, by all means. But it's not the one. Like, it doesn't excite me. There just seems to be this whole Brexit narrative of managers going on that Steve Parish has got in his mind, according to that report, and it makes me uncomfortable. Like, there are managers available. If you want a Premier League experience, you got Brendan Rodgers. You got my man well, in fact, he was there.
Yeah,
you could have got Brendan Rodgers. You got. Sorry, bro.
Sorry to cut you off, but I'll cut you off in some. So Brendan Rodgers, it seemed like an option, but the news came out saying that he's not willing to go down. You know, he's already had these type of jobs, so that's why I went to Celtic. But anyways, sorry.
There's that one. You got Graham Potter sitting there doing nothing, and it's quite funny because I was kind of on the fence about the Graham Potter thing, but he's sitting there doing nothing with a big paycheck. He's bored. He probably wants a new challenge. You got Hassan Hootel. There's bare Premier League experienced managers that are out of work right now, if you want to be that petty about it. But big man, this is not, we don't have months upon months to kind of pull our finger out. And we cannot afford to go into another summer with the whole Patrick Vieira setup of things, especially with the way that allegedly the boardroom is split. Something's got to have to give, man. You've got to start giving players something to, you know, you can't sell a project to a player and not have a project in place. Because if I'm a player and I'm looking at setups here, do I go to a Crystal Palace who don't have a manager, don't know who's coming through the door player-wise, don't even know what kind of style of play they're going to implement, or are we going to go to another team like, I don't know, a Bournemouth that's got their manager there? Hell, Sheffield United's even got their manager in place. Like, Luton's got their manager in place and rebuilding their stadium now. We're out here fighting Sainsbury's for £10 million or whatever it is. Like, there's just too many mad, quiet, conservative stuff going on here, man, and I don't like it. I'm just really fed up of it, man. Like, there's all these managers sitting there doing nothing. What seems to be happening is every 2 or 3 weeks, a report comes out saying, oh, so-and-so don't want the job. Oh, so-and-so don't want to battle. Oh, so-and-so ain't interested. Bro, we've been through this 2 summers ago. No, yeah, 2 summers ago. I'm just getting wound up, man. You got Hutter sitting right there, who's on job, bruv, and has got a proven track record of going to do bits. You got Potter sitting there who, forget the Chelsea thing for a second, bro. Look what he's done. He's done bits in Europe. He's done bits with Brighton. Like, go and get somebody, bro. This is just getting mad frustrating out here. Like, how did Bournemouth have enough time to chill, survive the season, sit there and think, you know what, this ain't the guy, you know? Get rid of man and have his replacement will be sitting there waiting there with La Liga experience.
I think, my answer to that would be that they spoke behind the manager's back and interviewed him already, and they're probably interviewing other managers, and that's why they got it sorted within 2 hours. They didn't go. But then allegedly, signed up. So they got it sorted behind the scenes, which is technically what we done in a way when we got rid of Patrick Vieira and we brought in Roy Hodgson, because I don't think we got rid of Vieira hoping that Roy Hodgson would come. I think we got a word that Roy Hodgson would come. So we basically done a similar thing, and that's why it was a quick turnaround there as well. Yeah,
but come on, D. It's been written that Patrick Vieira, they were trying to get man out the door since February last year, you know?
Yeah.
So you didn't have contingency or shortlist for that. Like, you see what I'm saying, bro? There's sometimes, yeah, the problem is, right, I split down the middle a lot with Crystal Palace because I love the fact that the club is run the way it is, right? And I love the fact that it sticks to certain types of principles. But in situations like this, that's going to just piss man off and frustrate me. And then I'm just seeing everyone around us, even teams in a lower position than us and have a lower Premier League pedigree than us, that are ready and prepared and have contingency plans and already have a next man ready through the door. Don't turn around to me and give me Frank Lampard in 2 weeks' time, you know. Because I'm gonna. You say that, bro, but he's available.
Now, come on, AJ, come on. Frank Lampard's not gonna happen, bro. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen by any means. Frank Lampard.
Did you think Roy Hodgson was gonna happen back in February, March?
No, okay, but that's
do you know?
Different.
Think about how crazy that plan sounds.
There's a bigger chance of Roy Hodgson coming back to the club even then than Frank Lampard coming now, because that's not.
But then even with that, give me my peace. But even with that, D, give me my peace and tell me Roy's gonna do the job. It's not my first option. So this is what the club needs to turn around and say, you know what? It's going to be Roy for the next 12 months or until next season.
Well, according to this,
then we can turn around and say, all right, cool.
According to the report from the Evening Standard, Roy Hodgson is unsure. So maybe
even that is sus.
It doesn't seem clear that Roy wants to 100% stay on, well, based on this. And I guess if Roy did want, well, there's two ways about it. One, Roy might not want to stay on, or he's still thinking about it, and because of that, we're still talking about other managers and interviewing other managers just in case Roy doesn't sign. And
but even with that,
we're not too sure on Roy. Like, there's two ways about it. Maybe we're not too sure on Roy. Maybe we want to talk to other managers before we do hire Roy. Where we're talking about uncertainties right now. But for you, a Premier League experienced manager, the only one that comes to my head right now, I can't lie, I disagree with you on Hasenhuttl. I don't want Hasenhuttl at the club. I wouldn't want him at the club. But that's me anyways. Brendan Rodgers is gone. The only manager that makes sense to me is Graham Potter. And that links to our next story that we'll be talking about in just a few minutes' time. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below if you're watching live, in the live section as well, about Graham Potter. That's the only one that makes sense. But I mean, look, I want. So you had your moment. Let me have my moment about the manager situation. Yeah, it annoys me. It annoys me for the fact that we got rid of our manager back in, let's be honest, back in start of April. So we've had the whole of April, we've had May, we've had June. We've had it about 3 months. And on top of that, if you want to add, at the time that we wanted to get rid of Vieira, according to reports, we had till February last year. And we're in this summer now, and we're still talking about, oh, we want Premier League experience, we want this and that. That's fine, you want Premier League experience. But even based on when we last hired Vieira, I had concerns about that. Not that we hired Vieira, but looking in hindsight right now, we were linked with Nuno, Lucien Favre, Patrick Vieira. Now, we're talking about different styles of football. Nuno Espirito Santo, who's on the verge of joining Crystal Palace, we didn't get him because of disagreements behind the scenes. That's what the reports were suggesting. And we went and got Patrick Vieira instead. Patrick Vieira is East. Nuno Espirito Santo is West. Complete opposites when you look at footballing styles and what they want to play. Now, from that moment onwards, and I think I've said this before for those who have been watching for a while, from that moment onwards, I have said it. It seems like with the manager side of things, we're not as sure as to who we want. Based on the manager links that we've had, based on what happened when we last hired Patrick Vieira, which it did work out in the end, it doesn't seem like we know what we want as a philosophy. Because that last time, with the manager situation, it was just all over the place. We were linked with a lot of names and we were trying to get a lot of names, but we weren't linked with names that were trying to play similar style of football. We were like, they had an older manager, so it wasn't the age-wise. We had younger managers we were linked with. We just linked with names for the sake of being linked with names, it felt like at a certain point, especially when you mentioned Nuno and Lucien Favre. Like, it was just linked with names for the sake of it. Now, if you want a Premier League experienced manager, there's only one out there right now that I would like, and that is not Gary O'Neill. That is literally Graham Potter. And surely, when are we going to wait? And when are we going to find out about the manager situation? Like, how long is this going to go on for? People, I said this, Steve Parish has done a lot of good things. I'm not going to go down this route, Parish out because of this. But I've said it from before. I've said it from when Patrick Vieira first got sacked. I don't really have faith in this board. And that board is not just Steve Parish. I don't have faith in John Textor, Parish, Harrison Blitz. I don't have faith in this board. Because I don't know if this board, because we went into this window, well, into the summer, thinking, you know what, we're going to start fresh. Everything's going to be fine. But here we are, 3 weeks before our first preseason game. We're still, even if a manager signs today, you can make that argument that we're not giving him enough time. Like, you have to, regardless of what we think, of course, we're going to sign players based on what we want. But the new manager will have somewhat of a say. If we do get Graham Potter, then we likely need to play 3 at the back, right? So we do need to bring in a defender or 2, maybe. But that's my problem. 3 weeks from now, and we still haven't got that next manager. And based on what people are saying, Roy Hodgson's going back on holiday. So it's a bit confusing. It's a bit confusing on what we want to achieve. Before talking about managers individually and talking about whether we want Potter or Green, what do we want as a football club? Because based on our last manager search and based on what's going on right now, I don't think we really have a clue. This report says that manager with Premier League experience, but then Addy Hunter's also a candidate. I mean, there's only so many managers with Premier League experience. Surely you would have had time to speak to them from literally May onwards. Like, what else are we waiting on? Like, how long do we want to wait on for? Because as you said, it does somewhat, not massively, but it does impact our transfers in a way. It must do. It must do because Addy Hunter is another one. If Addy Hunter is so persistent playing free at the back, then we need new wing backs. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter about the striker, but we need new wing backs. And that's where my problem lies. Like, the next manager will have somewhat of an influence to our transfer window. So what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? It's not like Vieira got sacked last week. We've had all this moment. Like, I get it, like, relax approach, interview everyone. But it's when you add everything together, it just go into the pathetic side. Like, it's slowly entering that. We need to hire someone sooner rather than later. I don't want it to go into July. Still talking about who our next manager is going to be. Like, let's have a preseason like a normal team for once. Last preseason, the COVID thing ruined us because half the squad was here, half of them was over in Asia. And now this preseason, we're still waiting on a new manager. We don't know what's happening with Wilf. We're still like, when do we get worried? I've asked this before. When do we get worried? So for you, AJ, are you worried right now? Or is it a case of, So I'll ask the chat as well. When would you guys get worried if you're not worried at this current moment of time? Let me go through some of the comments as well. Because I went on a little rant there and AJ had his moment as well. Let's see. There's a lot of comments. As always, if you're enjoying the stream, make sure to leave a like. And if you're new here, also subscribe. Let's keep the channel growing, people. And if we don't come on Palace News, don't get on to AJ. Leave down a comment in the previous videos telling me off because that's genuinely pathetic. 5 days and a lot has happened. So Tim says, how much does it delay the decision around Wilf being part of getting a new manager? I don't think that should play a part at all. I mean, we need the new manager regardless of the Wilf situation. We can't just wait on Wilf. I don't know how Wilf.
I mean, it could be a contributing factor to some things because obviously, Wilf. It's no secret that Wilf has said one of the reasons why he may contemplate staying is, why we want to be showing progression as a football club. By signing Jefferson Lerma, bro, that's not going to convince Wilfred Zaha to stay.
No, but the question is decision around Wilf to get a manager. That's the whole thing. I don't think.
So what?
Wilf,
as in selling the project of with or without Wilf, or
so basically, Wilf. We don't know what's happening with Wilf. Does that impact getting a new manager? I don't think it should.
Because a manager would be ambitious enough to build the team differently anyway. Plus, still got Lise, Eze, and other talents in the squad anyway.
Yeah. Earth and Mitch both agree with you there. Frank Lampard. No, I don't think Frank Lampard will come in. We'll do forfeit if that happens because that's not happening.
Bro, if Frank Lampard,
what do you want me to do?
Listen, I'm going to Google.
It's not happening.
You're that confident. I will Google for everybody watching this. Send in your suggestions in the comments of a forfeit because I'm on making this man jump off a balcony or shave off that beard. I will.
What you want me to die? What you want me to die or something? Because Frank Lampard.
No. I never said a high balcony. Now we'll just get the beard. We'll go for the beard. We'll get the beard, boys. Don't worry about it.
No, not the beard.
Yeah, see, he's back trying. He ain't that convinced.
I will do it because it ain't happening. It ain't happening.
Hey, back it with chest, mate. Back it with chest.
That Frank Lampard will never come to Palace. That's not happening. Not this summer. Don't get me wrong. I'm frustrated too, but I do wonder if the Will situation is dragging. Also adds Tim. Steven says,
do you know on Tim's point, right? On Tim's point, just on that exact point, right? With Palace, I am so frustrated with the lack of signings, news, and management. The Will thing's not even been in my head for a good week or two. I've not even thought about it for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm so wound up by everything else, it's almost like it's like fifth, sixth on my list of things to worry about with Palace.
It's like having a car with a body, but you have no tires. Like
no engine, blood.
To move forward. Yeah,
there's no engine. The engine's not there.
We've got
you're putting on the ignition. The thing ain't running.
Forget about the accessories. Forget about whether your right wing mirror is there or your
no petrol, blood. No petrol.
We need the engine
Crazy.
to move. to worry about the right Will situation. That, I mean, we'll find out sooner rather than later. But we need a manager. We need the engine of this team, and we still don't have an engine. And we're going on a road trip in about a few weeks' time. That's how it feels like right now. It's like, well, we're going on a road trip. We can go on a road trip still without a wing mirror. It might be risky, but we can, sort something out. But without engine, we're not moving. Do you get it? We need that engine right now. And I'm not talking about a cheap ass engine as well, like a proper engine, because we've had it since May. So we should be able to invest in a good engine right now. Mitch says Ralph did a good job at Southampton. They're weak in the squad, so seeing like Mitch would be okay with Ralph. I'd love Graham Potter. And I'm tired of this ownership, says Sean as well. Could Schuurs rumors mean Potter is on the card? So look, we're going to move on to the second bit of a rumor today. Of course, we're not going to go on for too long because international football starts in 15 minutes. And Turkey against Wales, massive game. So I can't be missing that. And
no one cares.
Bro, hey, you're St. Lucia. You're ranked like 160th in the world. Please.
Gold Cup 2050, boys.
Please,
Gold Cup 2050. I'm going to have some.
AFC Wimbledon. Come on, let's have a bit of decoration.
Terrell Thomas, if you know, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
My kids will play for St. Lucia, man. Don't worry about it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Don't worry. We know Steve Cooper ain't coming. We're happy about it as well.
We don't care. We don't care.
As well. Exactly. We're happy about it. But look, let's go. So I'll 100% do this. You should have the extreme hot chili crisp with Frank Lampard joins Palace because I won't be having it. So yeah, exactly. It's not happening. I'm so confident it's not happening. But let's move on to the second bit of news today, which is on a defender. Funny enough, according to the Daily Mail, Crystal Palace have stepped up the interest in Torino centre-back Perr. The 23-year-old has been followed by Napoli and Newcastle United, and Palace want a defender as interest grows in Marc Guehi. So when I first saw this, AJ, I was a bit confused because there was a comment there about whether Potter joins, we'll need another defender. You can look at that side of things. But this report doesn't talk about a manager. It talks about Marc Guehi. The interest has always been there for Guehi, but I'll be honest, I have not been worried about Guehi leaving this window because all the clubs that's been really mentioned, I think they're unserious and they won't meet our budget. I don't think Tottenham will. I don't think Arsenal will. But what do you think about stepping up their interest or intensifying? I think that's what the word was used in the report as well. That phrase surprises me because there's nothing suggesting that Guehi's leaving anytime soon. But let's say if Guehi does stay, then do you still see a window for another centre-half? Because I think that should be one of our least priorities right now. I get it in the short list, 100% if Guehi was to leave, but anytime soon, I don't see Guehi leaving, based on the reports anyways.
It's a good question. I think I like the Schuurs link. He looks good. Seems like a bit of a baller as well in terms of the centre-back options. It's interesting, to be fair, because in opposite to my rant, even if we bought him and kept Guehi, it makes our squad stronger. And I am for one all for that. Because at the end of the day, look, Tompkins is a relatively solid centre-back, air quotes. I'm not convinced he's actually all that. Richards, I do have a lot of faith and belief in, but he is injury prone. That, we got to be realistic about that. And
he's doing well for USA.
Yeah, he's done all right. He got his first goal last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Big up the American followers, USA and that. But we have to be realistic. We have to go on, if we've got a chance to buy a player at a decent price and he makes our squad stronger, or even, you never know, pushes our defenders for their places in the team, makes them step up, I'm all for it, man. I'd have him any day of the week. He looks really, really talented, really, really interesting. He looks like he wants it. It seems that he's just not willing to sit on a bench anywhere. He wants to go in, play in, week out. He'd give our defense a run for their money. Or if we did want to switch to an alleged three at the back, I'll take him, man. I like the look of him. He looks good.
Yeah, Tim says it makes me frustrated a lot. Why are we talking about replacements for Guehi when we have Richards? He was stone cold brilliant versus Mexico and Canada. And on top of that, I want to add that he was very good when he played for Palace in limited amount of appearances. So what do you think about this? I think, look, if Guehi leaves, we'll probably need a replacement anyways, because let's say Richards and Anderson were to start, then the next in line, if there's no academy player, will be Tompkins. So we'll need a replacement anyways. But what do you make of the situation about replacement for Guehi and getting someone who fits in for him? Don't you think Richards can step up to the plate?
I'm not convinced Gay's even leaving anyway. But sake of argument, if he does, and I'm sorry, Tim, T,
Basically, everyone
Patrick,
from America. Yeah.
all you guys on that side of the pond, the man's injury prone. And we don't know if he can do it 38 games. We just don't know. When he has stepped up and he has been fit and he has been available and he has played, he's been amazing. But one of the reasons that stumped his development of potentially walking into that starting 11 was the injury progress the injury, I guess, negativity that he had. Because yes, if Gay leaves tomorrow and we do bring in some money and Richards does come into the starting lineup, can I rely on Chris Richards to be able to hold his own for a 38 game season? I don't know. Is he consistent enough?
Again,
I don't know. How many games did he play?
Injuries. I'm pretty sure last season there was moments where.
But when was the last time? Yeah, but then we got. Yeah, but that is fair. But at the same time, what you got to understand is there are a lot more games he should have been available for, and he should have been able to come into the team, and he wasn't available due to those injuries. A lot of the time, he couldn't even make the bench last season. So just to have that other solid option, or give Richards maybe an opportunity to maybe play at one of the fullback options. At the end of the day, it creates squad depth and it makes our squad stronger. Because if you look at some of the teams that are around us and are building, they have a lot more depth in those types of positions, or even around the pitch, stronger than ours. I think we should definitely be looking at building a squad, even if you have to build it at a budget, than to just have another injury crisis on us. Dee, me and you've been watching Palace long enough to know when we've had injury crisis, and then it just looks so peak for us. But then if we've got a strong squad where it's like, hey, listen, my man's picked up a knock, don't worry, we've got this Italian under 21 international ready to pop in. I am calm with that. So yeah, man, I'm all for it, and I'm not sold on the fact that we have to sell Gay. I'm not.
Okay, but let me give you my perspective from it. Yes, it's great to have depth everywhere on the pitch and getting another player. Let's say if Guehi was to say, and we got it, but it doesn't. The report suggests that it's like a Guehi replacement. But like, we need a new. I don't care when we need a new right back. I'd rather get right back than spend the money on defender or striker. Forget about right back.
160% agree, bro. So but allegedly,
but if you don't have the money, then you don't go. Like, well, your theory, I get it to a certain extent, but if you don't have the money, you don't do what we expect, like as a potential, squad booster. We don't have the money for a squad booster in that position. We need to strengthen.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things I would consider with that scenario, right? Stick with the squad builder thing just for a second. And what I mean by that is, if you've got a player to get at a decent price, because obviously I don't know what the total fee would be, but let's say, I don't know, argument's sake, he was there for, I don't know, 2-3 million euros. It could be more than that, of course. Why would you just not pay it and get him in anyway? Whereas at the same time, from my understanding and from the way that I think it's Matt Woodsman's and all the rest of these guys have been writing is, allegedly, and I disagree with this narrative, by the way, there is no value in the market for a decent right back. I'm not going to get into that debate because I'll be sitting there for an hour.
You see,
and we probably end up shouting at each other. But at the end of the day, it just like it's opportunity. If there's an opportunity to just get this player, and he just makes the squad stronger in a different way, take him. I think there's a factor of price, and there's a factor of if he wants to come now. If he does, take him. Obviously, I personally think the money should be spent on a striker and a right back. But at the end of the day, if the guy's there available and he's desperate to come, and he's definitely a top player, or at least a potential top player, just do it. Just get out. Just tick a box.
In all honesty, I think it heavily falls on the Gay replacement, and I agree with the report from Daily Mail as well. I think if Gay leaves, then I think we're going to see signings like this. I'll be very surprised if we do end up buying him. If Gay was to stay, because for me, for a club that's tight on money and still forget about right back value for money right back. What? There's no strikers as well. There's our limit with strikers done. There's no value for money for strikers as well. Like, we need to find these players. There's about how many players across the world that play this beautiful game, and you're telling me we can't find one. We can't find one that's quality. Get out of it. That's on us. I don't care what anyone says. If you don't get another striker, that's on us. And funny enough about that, just off topic, Sacha Bowie, Brighton, and Arsenal seem like they're fighting for him. So that seems like it's done. And Victor Gyökeres, West Ham. Seemed like West Ham has stepped up.
I saw that.
Yeah, so let's see, because I've said what I've had to say about this board for ages, but then again, the window's still open, so we're gonna see what happens with that. And let's read some comments before we move on to the next topic. Thoughts on Castagna? I've seen Palace linked to him. Well, he's got Premier League experience. Feels see Paris shoes like that, so that's a massive box tick.
I like him, but apparently he's linked with Juventus, isn't he?
Yeah, he's linked with other clubs, and he will be. He will be. It's not bad.
I mean, South London's nice and Croydon has its good days, but Turin or Croydon, Champions League or
Champions League or
sometimes you just gotta be honest with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just,
exactly. Like the only European taste that man's getting, bro, is he goes down London roads. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
boy, I don't know, man.
go through the market, then you get a bit of European taste. Watermelons from Spain. Tim says, does anyone believe that the reports that were linked with Balogun? That's my dream. Potentially on loan. I don't see us buying him. But then again, I don't think Arsenal would want to send him out on loan. They would prefer to get the money. So there's a bit of conflict of interest there. That's how I feel.
Allegedly, he has said that he's not going on loan again. But there's contributing factors to that.
Blame him.
I mean, how much are they going to want? How much? Yeah, I mean, after the season he had last year, how much are they going to want for him? Is that going to sit in our budget?
Yeah.
I'd have him. I'd have him any day of the week because I'd have him starting tomorrow for us. But I want him. Like, he's definitely on my list of players that we want. And I've noticed Tim has conveniently put another American on that list there. But we move.
American agendas.
The American agenda's real. D, we gotta be careful, mate.
Balogun's a quality player.
But Balogun's quality, man. I would have him tomorrow, like any day of the week. I'd have him today.
Yeah, exactly. Literally right now. Bring him over. Kevin says Anderson can play right back as he does for Denmark. Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know about that, mate. Pace and that at the Premier League and compared to when you play in Macedonia and Malta and that, those are two different animals.
Because Richards can technically play right back as well. But I've had this debate with a lot of people when people say, well, Richards can play right back. Well, he can play right back. He can do role there technically, but he's not a right back. He's not Premier League right back where you need to have the offensive and defensive duties. And that's why we need a right back. So yeah, Rich can play right back, Woods can, and Klein can as well, but we need a proper right back. That's the whole debate about the situation. The only I'll focus on the stadium and not the club. See, Parish needs to do better. If we continue on this road, we're going down next season. Well, right now, as it stands with no manager, I mean, it's technical, but I guess there's teams worse than us. But yeah, look, we'll talk about our owners anyways. We'll see, because technically the window ain't open. Well, the window ain't shut. You can still bring in another manager. We'll see when it happens. And if it does happen at this point, because honestly, I don't know for this football club. I don't know when it will happen. If you want my truth, honestly, I genuinely don't. It could happen this week, no Palace, or it can happen in like 2-3 weeks' time, and we could go to the Crawley game with no manager, and Paddy McCarthy could be leading pre-season, which is absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and I'm sorry from me personally. I can't forgive him for that. Injury prone. How about Nathan Ferguson? At least Richards has played. Yeah, it seemed like we offered Nathan Ferguson a new contract. I know we haven't been on, but
wait, is this brother actually trying to compare Nathan Ferguson and Chris Richards? Yeah. This wasn't a comment. This isn't a debate about who's better, my guy.
No.
I'm just giving you. I'm just pointing out a fact.
Yeah, but his point is that Nathan Ferguson is still, around. So, like, we clearly value Nathan Ferguson, and he's more injured.
Well, somebody must value him somewhere.
Exactly. Well, someone at the club definitely does. What do you think about the Ferguson contract offer situation? I'm not surprised. I'll be honest. It might sound weird, but
I've been thinking about it actually since I saw it. I've been thinking about the news since I saw it.
We saw it with
Connor Wickham.
No, but Connor Wickham was out injured, and we still gave him a new deal because he's going through stuff in his personal life. It doesn't surprise me one bit about Palace offering him a new deal.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to be pay to play, whatever people say. Like, let's be realistic.
Nah, he'll just get a pay reduction, but even so. Nathan Ferguson, do you know what, right? Part of me is just like, what are we doing? But the other half of me is like, well, if he can get himself right, I mean, 3 years is a long goddamn time, like, to just not show anything. But we put all this training and practice and everything into the kid. Can he show something? Can he bring us something? I don't know, man. It's a hard one, man. That's another one that's dropped down my list of things to worry about because there's so many other things that are priority in my mind.
But
with
with
this
due
Palace side.
respect, I'm not losing sleep over Nick Ferguson getting any deal. Let's
Yeah,
just
who
say that.
cares? Like, I just don't care at this
I
point.
would have loved to come on here on Live Palace News. I guess it would have been a bit boring, but talk about Nathan Ferguson getting a new deal. But that's like the least of our worries right now. We don't have a manager. We don't know what's happening with Will. We need to improve other positions. That's the least of my worries, with all due respect. I don't think anyone knows whether Ferguson will be successful or not. Right now, it's looking a bit difficult, but
You just never know.
Yeah,
you just don't know.
Let's move on to the two final bit of news that we've had today. We'll quickly go through them because there's nothing really to talk about them in detail. So according to the Evening Standard, once again, Evening Standard has been on a roll today with Palace. Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Tottenham and Wolves. So, big Premier League clubs, Crystal Palace, Wolves as well there, are keeping tabs on the Gambian striker Adama Bojang. We've been talking about this player, just like we're talking about Sacha Bowie for all those months, and that didn't work out. So there's nothing really about this report that we haven't heard of before. That's why I'm not going to stick on it. The Gambian wonderkid who plays for Steve Biko FC over in Gambia has done well for the under-20s, World Cup. So there's no real update there. For those of you who have been watching Live Palace News, we have been linked with him. You probably heard of his name a few times now. But I think out of all them names, it'll be surprising to see Palace win that battle. Out of Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham and Wolves. Maybe we offer him a bit more game time on progression plan. But, around the fee, they value him around £2.5 million. So that is green ticks all around. Green ticks all around, £2.5 million for Palace. But getting him and beating other competitors, that's another question, to be told, in honesty. And let's move on to the final bit of story, unless you want to add anything about that. Do you want to talk about Adama Bojang?
Nah, he's not going to come in and rip up trees. So,
yeah.
Exactly. And the other teams bigger than us will put him in their development team. Probably the same as us.
He's highly rated, but I doubt he'll become a first-team striker
in the Gambian league.
Well, no, but he's been doing well in the under-20s.
In the Gambian league.
No, but under-20s is where he's got the spotlight. I know that's like a nice narrative to say, but under-20s is where he's got the spotlight. Under-20s World Cup. And a final bit of news today, if you're watching us right now and joining us right now, make sure to go after we finish this and watch it from the start, because we talk about the manager situation and also defender situation as well. Reports are coming out from Belgium, linking us to Asta Rank. I think that's how you pronounce it, AJ? VRANCKX Ranks. Is that how you said it?
Verlang? What did I say? Verlang, isn't it? I think it's Verlang. Yeah. Anyway, I'll get you the pronunciation by the next video.
Yeah. Exactly. Apologies if I pronounce it wrong. But following an unsuccessful spell at AC Milan, he's expected to return to Wolfsburg in Germany, where he isn't going to stick around for long. And he explains, the journalist explains that the preferred solution for the player is a move to the Premier League, although big clubs are not really interested in him. And Fulham and Crystal Palace are one of those names that's being mentioned. So another thing that I don't want to go into detail, because it seems like, Fulham and Palace are kind of presented the player rather than Fulham and Palace going for the player. He's 20 years old, another midfielder. And if more stuff comes about, then we'll talk about it in more detail. But for now, there's nothing that suggests that we're going after him. It's like maybe agent talk, and the source itself ain't the most reliable. So yeah, that's how I see it. But for you, another midfielder, bring on a party. Is that we strengthen a position that we're already strengthened? So that we're avoiding the actual problem. Exactly. We're doing everything rather than fixing the solution.
This is right.
The solution to the actual problem.
I remember a couple of years ago when I used to play Football Manager relentlessly, and then you'd get those little news inbox items where it's like, this agent wants to present you this player, and it's like, meh.
Yeah, that's what's going on. That's how I feel about this story.
It's the same thing, man. There's just nothing to it. Like, I could be wrong, and he might be holding up the shirt by the end of the month, but it's a non-starter for me. It just doesn't interest me whatsoever.
Yeah. Apparently I'm having audio problems. I'll check that out later because we're going to wrap it up now. But if you guys have enjoyed the show, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow, most likely, for Live Palace News. And hopefully by then we'll have another update on the manager situation, because we're reaching July. It's not that far off. But as I said, thank you to everyone who joined us live. And if you want to, you can leave down your comments in the comment section down below about some of the transfer reports and the manager situation if you're watching a replay. And up until next time, up the Palace.